Hey everybody, welcome to the weekend vid. We saw last week SPY caused the 3-2 quarter. And if you didn't watch our macro video, you must go back and watch it. You go to my Twitter, we recently posted the links to that, or go to my YouTube, should be one of the previous videos that came out on Tuesday. That being said, with the 3-2 expansion, you'll see this broadening formation goes expando to the downside, puke. We're nowhere near going a 2 back up. So we're not going to try and buy the SPY, at least not, saying it's going to firm up. If we go green next week, we can talk about that, but this is going to be difficult to change. Look at this quarterly, right? 3-2 expansion, they're done. We go to the year. We would like to see SPY outside year. We do see futures are gapping down. They're pretty close to doing that. But after the outside year, then, it's up to the market. Do we stay down and then go for even more of this down into here, 350 and 37773, or can we firm up after going 3? Once a 3, always a 3. If we go to the Qs, same thing. Obviously tech, it's normally relatively strong, just overall over the decades, but also 3-2 quarter down, also closest to making its outside year. New highs, failure, boom, new lows. Dow Jones, same thing, except inside year closer to a 2-2 reversal to the downside. So if this can stay below that, maybe it goes further. But much like the other indexes, once we hit last year's lows, then we're going to start reevaluating, seeing if things confirm or negate. Same thing in here. We'll see the RevStrat weak. They take them out. And now it's a matter of, got no weekly signals. Most things will look like this. IBM, the weakest one of the bunch. It went quarterly reversal last quarter after a new all-time high. Like this, still coming for its magnitude down here. So we still have ways to go on IBM. Take this out. And IBM did go 2-2 reversal years. So we're officially reversal down in the small cappers. We'll see what comes of it, right? Still have a magnitude as long as we're below this. 188.71 just about. We look to take this out around 162.70. That being said, if we go and take a look at the sectors, what do those guys look like? Overall, you're going to see market crash, right? When everything takes last week's lows and last quarter's lows, it's a crash. That's just what it is. So when we take a look at this, you'll see everything 2 downs on the week, nowhere near coming back besides home builders, XHB. So if anyone's going to firm up next week, let's say we, go 2 down in green on a gap down on Monday, probably the home builders. They're closest to doing that. And what we'll be scanning for next week is anyone taking last week's highs. Because if you shorted the market, right, you got what you wanted. The whole market's down. Now, if we take out that short by going 2 up on the week next week, that's where the shorts have to cover, and that's where relative strength and real buying is occurring. So that's something we want to know. That being said, we're not going to have a lot to talk about, right? Market's crashing. That's just how it is. So when we go and look for our weekend video setups, we're just going to have less. So let's go and dive into those. As far as inside weeks are concerned, we've got very few things above even a 1,000 million market cap. So very, very few. WRB might be the only one in here inside week that you'd want to be looking at, closer to a reversal down. So we're going to skip over those. Whole market went 2s down. There's no inside bars. As far as things 2 down but green on the week, there's very few. We've got Bitcoin, which is going to be down pretty big 3-2 week, closer to the quarter down Bitcoin. So even Bitcoin could go an outside year this year following the indexes, but it has held up relatively strong so far. But MicroStrategy is doing that, so it's going to be a gapper likely on Monday. As far as setups, though, in the home builders, DHI, you'll see they gap it down, buy it while the whole market's crashing out. So this could be a 2-2 week on DHI above 131.91. Ideally, you get like an inside day in here to cause that on Tuesday, but that'd be one of the few. If we go to pool, you see a little bit of a hammer outside day, closer to maybe a 2-2 week if that hammer were to work. So it's very slim pickings as far as what we're seeing here for setups. Outside of that, there's not much we could talk about here. So pool, DHI, no big simultaneous breaks besides maybe those home builders. That being said, let's just take a look and see who is 2 up and red on the week, which again, I don't think we're going to have a lot of those either. Two up and red on the week. It looks like we got a lot of staples up at Procter & Gamble. So closer to the 2-2 week PG, which would cause a 3-2 month to the downside below 162.2. And this could cause pivot machine gun on the quarter, starting to come back through these guys. Still an inside year, unless we can take out 146.28. So closer there, PG, Coca-Cola. You're going to see shooter on Coca-Cola, closer to going up maybe a 3-3 on the quarter. So the 2-2 week could cause 3-3 quarter in Coca-Cola. No daily signals to do that. Pepsi. You see a 3 on the day, broadening formation. Rev strat week below 146.44, which could cause the 2-2 month down. So it's going to be relatively weak as it's closer to taking last month's lows. In this case, it's also taking last year's lows and reclaiming a scenario 3 below 148.77. And for my sake, I'm just going to change the color of this so I know it's a key level in there. So 146.44 Pepsi. If we go to waste management, closer to maybe a 3-3 quarter, closer to an outside month. And it has also the shooter week in here below 225.06, which is not your staples, more so your industrial/utilities type sector. We'll also see in the staples Mondelez, which still has some distance to take the week or the month down, distance to change the year, nowhere near taking the quarter down. So it's still relatively a bit stronger there, but would be closer to try and take some new lows here with Pepsi, 3-2 day next week, potentially. In the staples, we'll also see Colgate, the 3-2-2 week, which could cause the 3-2-2 month. So if that happens, we're still inside year, could cause a quarter down if it hits its magnitude by taking out the other side of this scenario 3 at 85.32 with a 3-2 day to cause it, much like Pepsi and Mondelez. Or actually, yeah. More staples, Keurig Dr. Pepper, shooter week, closer to doing a gap up sell month to cause rev strat 1-3, to cause outside quarter 2-3. Maybe a 2-2 year if that were to all work out. So let me make sure my list is here. We'll also see Kraft Heinz closer to 3-2 day, closer to 2-2 week, closer to the 3-2-2 on the month. Kind of doing nothing this year, but mostly those staples that we see with a simultaneous 2-2 for next week. We'll see Clorox in there as well, closer to the 2-2-2 on the week. Could be coming inside year and down potentially. Closer to continuation quarter with a magnitude still of 129.19. All of these are 3-2 days. Just realized I forgot PG on the list, so just added that there. TSN, closer to a 3-2-2 week, already going to be an outside month, potential outside quarter, still double inside year. So a little bit of a choppy action going on in here. You'll see this on the daily. This daily triangle down, up, shooter, down, just ripping them back and forth. CAG holds up a little better. All right, so that's what we see so far in the staples. In the healthcares, second week of the month here, you'll see ELV, shooter week, potentially pivot machine gun with a 3-2 day to cause it. This would cause potential rev strat quarter. Still an inside year, so you have evidence that that could work. Because whenever you're inside bigger time frame and you set up a rev strat, such as the rev strat quarter, you're more likely to do it. And at the end of the video, or after we get through the scans here, we're also going to be talking about things from our macro video that we'll be taking a look at. Wow, there's just a ton of staples on this list. All right, in some of the consumer discretionary, we're seeing race. which I believe is Ferrari. I'm not 100% sure here. Yeah, Ferrari. Closer to 2-2 to cause 3-2 quarter. And there has been, on a side note, a lot of people are not very, into Ferrari, at least their business practices, which is interesting. But 2-2 week to cause a 3-2 quarter, potential outside year in Ferrari. And normally if the market does start, consolidating, so to speak, like tightening, those higher end products can suffer, especially, if the management isn't what the customers want. If we go to O'Reilly Auto Parts, it's closer to the 2-2 week, closer to a 3-3 month as well. And this is where you can start playing some lottos. The whole market's already crashing out. If this works, right, from here to here, let's see what next month's, 1, 2, 8, 3. Yeah, it looks like they're pricing in a good bit of it. Let's see. It's be a 100-point drop. The at the monies are pricing in about 65% of that. We go next month. If we're playing this month, you might be able to snag a few good ones in there. Let's see. 1, 3, 4, 5 is weekly magnitude. Yeah, they're kind of pricing a good bit of it in. Let's see. 17th would be the end of next week. So you could go for like the 13, 14, but the spreads aren't the best there. Although, if you want to, you can try and go for it for a lotto. It's just an expensive lotto. Let's see. All right, so it doesn't look like too much else that I'm interested in here off of these lists. We can take a look and see now who's going. So not only do we want to confirm and negate with signals, but we want to confirm and negate just scenario twos that are going. So what do we talk about in the macro? Well, good thing we have receipts. Here it is. IBM's the weakest. All the semis are looking weak. High-priced consumer goods, cruise lines, Lulu, Amazon, Costco, Walmart, all the consumer stuff didn't look too good. Financials look pretty bad. And gold and silver, although they looked better, they opened the quarter and they just smacked all of them with market crash. And then staples, same thing. Although they're stronger, same with energies. So just market crash. They took them all out. So if we go and take a look, then semis, some consumer goods and financials, we can see, did it do what we expected? So we go to the SMH. Remember your 3-2 quarter? Yeah. Right. Down they go. They're down $20 already. Notice it broke here, right at the gap up on, or gap sell on the open. And how can you get in on that? Well, you're going to see this. The inside 15 here, 202.44. Boom, you're in, and the quarter just takes them to the pound house. That being said, that tells us MU. If you recall, we mentioned the rev strat year below 79.15. If you recall in the quarter, we mentioned below 84.12 just about. You had that quarterly inside down momentum shooter to trigger rev strat year. Good stuff. And you'll see, in this case, they just open, they start picking right away. You'll see they go continuations. There's slight corrective down, They just hit them. So those are all closer to confirming. AMD, we've already talked about this one on a yearly basis. Just confirmed what we knew. So we go in the quarter, 2 down, confirms what you know, 2 down again. Right? If you look to the weekly, 2-2 week, down they go. Right? Nice trades. And if you're trying to get in on that, what do? Well, when it gaps down and puts the weak in force right here, the inside 15, puke. 3-2-2-15 into the close, puke. And they had inside stuff at the end here. If we go to SMCI, unlike a lot of these, this didn't take last quarter's lows. So it's still firmer in SMCI. And it was already trading at a pretty deep discount, at least from the all-time highs. So it kind of makes sense. If we go to AVGO, the inside quarter down takes it down. Still an inside year. So it's still more firm than the rest taking last year's lows. ASML, inside quarter down. Rev strat year. So all quarter, all year, we've got that with the MU and AMD. ASML, already got KLAC. KLAC, inside quarter. Potential 2-2 year, has yet to do it, but it's closer to making that happen for us. So really what we're waiting for on these weaker ones is give us some inside days, right? Give us some 222s. That's what we're holding off for ads and stuff. But for now, those are the ones down in the semis. You could also be looking at things like QCOM, which we're not on the video, but momentum shooter quarter, 222 or 222 year. Yeah, 2 down, 2 up, 2 down. Going off all-time highs, and that doesn't look good, right? Pivot machine gun, all these guys, potentially. If we go to consumer goods, Lululemon. So in this case, they triggered the quarter down right on Monday. So right at the beginning of the week, and they are just gapped down. Not sure if they had earnings. Yeah, it looks like they had earnings in here, but they gapped down with the market. And then we had this really big rally in Lulu. Broadening formation here on the 15. On the year, this will be just continuation. So we'll keep an eye on it, but for now, it's a little more firm with that nice broadening formation in there. We go to cruise lines. NCLH. 3-2 quarter. They already hit out their initial pivot target, 1472. And you'll see they did it with the kicking pattern day. So now we don't know. Right? It's outside year. There it is. We go to RCL. Cruise lines. 2-2 quarter. Bringing them in. Nowhere near firming up at this point. So we'll see if it keeps going. Potential outside year. CCL. 2-2 quarter PMG. A little bit of a hammer day. So it'll be closer to firming back up inside week next week. But we will see. In the financials, we mentioned the XLF 2-2 quarter setting up. Yeah, boom, takes them out. 2-2 week causes the quarter down. Notice kicking pattern day causes 2-2 week to go in force, causes the quarter, causes the 3-2 month. It was beautiful stuff. So still potential outside year there. We said Bank of America weaker with the inside quarter. There she is. Inside quarter down. And you'll notice this was broken by a 3-2 kicking pattern day. 3 to the upside, opens red here, you're short. Down they go, no reversal against. It also tells you Citigroup. And I do have a list here, so let me go through the list. Citigroup, the 2-2 quarter, and we did see, we zoom it out a bit, this. Notice how that quarter reclaims the mother bar. When we talk about big levels of reclaim, this is what we mean. That's a big level, right? 2020. New highs, reclaim. Uh-oh. You'd be going down here to 32. So they don't look too good. If we go to Goldman Sachs, you're going to own the world. So I imagine these guys will firm back up eventually. But 2-2 quarter PMG, there's your magnitude right away. Notice the kicking pattern day. 2-2 to get in on there. Boom, boom. Still good. We'll see if those dailies stay good. If we go to Morgan Stanley, we'll see the 2-2 quarter triangle going back through. Kicking pattern day to cause it. 2-2, still good. Potential outside year. We go to Wells Fargo. We'll see the 2-2 quarter. Notice the kicking pattern. Rev strat day to trigger it. Boom, boom. Down they go. Still good. So all those financials are hitting the lows. There's also Hood, which did trigger the quarter down, but still a little bit more firm than the rest of the market. You'll notice they did the kicker. Didn't really go anywhere. Continued. Take last quarter's lows, and then they're, closer to reclaiming that for now. A little bit more firm there. If we go to Amazon and Meta. Amazon, the momentum shooter, so potentially still some issues. 2 going 3 year with a magnitude to take this out, 143.97. Still a 2-2 on the quarter. And you'll see the 3-2 month expando, still good. We go to Meta. You see the 2-2 quarter. You'll see same thing. They're still good, closer to continuing, so potential outside your Meta. Costco. You'll notice never took the quarter down, so relatively still stronger. Does have the outside week shooter though, so potentially shooter outside week Costco, which could cause the quarter down. And that I'm going to add that to the staples as 3-2 shooter, just because it's they move similar. Tells you Walmart did take the quarter 2-2 down, outside week shooter as well, so maybe simultaneous with Walmart. That also can tell you look at Target sometimes. Target's just down. There's no other retailers I can think of off the top of my mind. In the tech, Shopify. 2-2 quarter, right into its magnitude. So there's your compound 3 on the quarter, Shopify. They did go hammer day, so a little bit closer to firming up. And if you want to go after any of these hammer days, you can, right? Volatility is high. Even though it's inside week, you could still have, you see a move like this, 78 to 88, right? So when volatility is high, you can play that stuff. Right? Just be aware of those inside bars and the continuity when you're doing that. PNW, wrecked. 2-2 quarter pivot machine gun, hasn't finished it out yet. So you still have magnitude, went out at the lows. See the 3-2 week caused it with the 2-2 on Trump news. Team, you'll see the 2-2 quarter from the triangle still working its way down. Still going down there. 134. So you still got a lot of move left. Reddit, 2-2 quarter. We'd be looking pretty much all-time lows. The IPOs. Net 2-2 quarter reclaims this stuff. So still looking for 76.97. Then we'll see. Maybe it gets worse. Logitech. Oh, wrecked. You can see this one did it more on a gap. So 84 to 67. That's pretty crazy stuff. Outside your Logitech, we'll see if that gets worse. Looking for triangle layouts. FTNT. You'll see the 2-2 quarter still has magnitude. Went out at the lows. So notice most of our 2 up and red quarter stuff just did what you wanted, right? There's Williams Sonoma in there, which did go 2-2 quarter, but like Lulu, firmed up a bit with a 3. So you can draw those broadening formations out. If you want to play those intra-week next week, looks like that. In the airlines, you got the 2-2 UAL, which did hit its magnitude, 54.64. So you got what you want. Notice the kicker, 2-2, boom, just takes them down. Delta Airlines, 3-2 quarter as well. Same thing, kicker, got what you wanted, takes them out. Here's your new lows on the quarter. Now it's got to stay closer to some hammers there. Tells us American Airlines, a little bit closer to a hammer. You got Jets ETF, not quite, right? But still a little close. This would all be against the quarterly signals, though. So you just got to be aware of that if you're ever trying to take that against quarterly signals. In the healthcares, we saw ISRG, which is 2-2 quarter. You'll see it was a little bit more firm in here on the Trump tariff news, but down they go. Potential 3-year. Anytime you're below 47437. And in the semis, this is one we forgot. LRCX, which is 2-2 quarter. Boom. And you'll see it opened right at the break. Here it is, $70. Boom, $60 really quick. 2-2 years still has a magnitude LRCX. Looking for this. 4073. You have this nearby pivot here, 5744. Outside of that, 2 down in greens, we just didn't see any rallies. Right, so Mondelez didn't go anywhere. TSN did not go anywhere. It did break up and then 2-2 right back down. UL. See, it did break up and then look at this. 2-2 negates what you know to be true. It brings them back in. This could also be at the staples next week. If you want to try and play for those potential 3s, I will add it to the list. Insurance companies. Also, they were more firm to start the quarter. This is why we say, the close doesn't matter of last quarter. Closes 2 up, then goes red. How does it do that? With a 3-2 reversal day pivot machine gun. It did break up to start, but then negates 3-2 here, and then boom, full time frame continuity. They bring it all the way in. Now it's still an inside year. So financials in the progressive, Aflac guys, those are going to be stronger still. Progressive, still green on the year. Right? Same thing though. You can see 2-2 kicking pattern day, just wrecked. So these are quarters down or month down progressive, inside quarter, 2 up year still. So we'll see if those insurance companies try to come back or not. Outside of that, there's not much to talk about. A lot of things crashed. Signals are going to be a little scarce. And what normally happens is you get big move, blow out everyone. Like we see, we have barely any signals. And then next week, anything last week's highs, that's what we go after. And then all the inside weeks that form potentially next week, those will be the things that we use as our signals. So this is what we're working with. And then, continuation, semis, tech, SPY, Qs, IWM, Dow Jones, still nowhere near a reversal. Oh, that's what we got. I guess the last thing I could say is there's one name I did see that's still firm. And Give me a second to scan for it. So when the market crashes out, what you want to go after is things taking last quarter's highs. So if you are a buyer, where are the buyers getting what they want? That's the question. So we're going to pull it up here. I'm going to show you where the buyers are getting what they want right here. RKT. So while the market crashes out, RKT 3 weeks to the upside. So this tells us what? For one, it tells us RKT is a 3-2 up. And we're going to have a lot of stars next to it. The reason is because this is showing institutional activity in RKT. They're buying it, right? The whole market's crashing, but this is going up. The only way that happens is if you have institutional guys in there. So as far as where the buys are, you're going to be scanning for things that are taking last quarter's highs, looking for those. Then when the market does firm up, we'll look for things taking or setting up quarterly signals or breaking those signals next quarter. That being said, though, that's like one of the one things I see. There's also Coop in here, double inside day. And I don't want to forget this, so I apologize. It's right at the end here, but Coop 3-2 up month, 2x inside a day. So these are the two things we're going to be looking at on the upside. Outside of that, it's like pretty scarce. There's some Dollar General in there, which makes sense, right? Market crashing out. But, it's a lot of nobodies. Those are the most liquid ones, the best ones I can find you. So that's what we see. That's where the institutional buyers are at. You want to stay on Coop and RKT if you're just a long side guy. And we'll update that list. We'll have more and more to show you as the quarter goes on. We'll find your relative strength and weakness for you. That being said, that's all I've got in tonight's nightly vid/weekend vid. And here's your list. I'll see you guys bright and early in the morning on Tuesday for those in stat trading. And we'll be in the alert section on Monday talking about some relative strength and what we see at least to start the week. So adios. Have a good rest of your night. I'll see you guys then.